Welcome to Gunkle Tarot. My name is Brian Griffin. Before we get into my video response, my VR, just a little quick couple of thoughts. Now, you may notice that there have only been, I think, 3 videos posted so far this year, much less than usual, and only one of those is really tarot related. The other 2 videos will give you a pretty good idea of what's been going on in my life. Also, I should note, I have only recently started really looking back at TarotTube because of the mental health work that I've been doing. This hashtag is one that caught my interest. I was watching Benny at The Fool's Apprentice, and I found it interesting, so I saw a couple more, and I thought, I'll give it a try. It's going to be interesting because on the one hand, it's lighthearted, it's nothing to be serious. On the other hand, it gives an insight into just how in our heads we can each individually be. The challenge is to have someone else go into your deck collection and choose 10 decks and cover them up in a bag or a box or something. And then as you pull them out, you have to put them on ranking 1 to 10. When, for example, when you pull the first deck out, you have this deck, you have no idea what the other 9 are going to be. So, do you put something, do you save the number 1 spot and the number 10 spot? And if you save it too long, does that mean you end up with a deck that is so far from being one of those numbers, you have to put it there? And thinking about how you use the deck, etc. I would say in this case, it's going to be even more of a challenge. Jason had a chance to choose 10 decks from my 25 decks. So the chances of any particular deck waiting for me in this collection is pretty high. And that's 25 decks because it's strictly tarot, none of my oracles. It excludes the majors only decks. I have a few of those. It excludes the decks that have already been put into purgatory looking for a new home because obviously they're not top rated. And it excludes the deck I got for my birthday, which I have only flipped through once. I haven't used at all. This is the box. And you could hopefully there should be a blue cloth. Yeah, I should have checked before I did this. Oh, so here we go. Ranking. Oh my word. The setup is a little different. I normally shoot these videos at my desk, which is, of course, right beside the bookcase where my decks are. So that would mean all I have to do is look sideways and I would know what's here. So I'm going to make things a little shaky as we get into the window light. Okay. This Might Hurt Tarot by Isabella Rotman. Purchased directly from the artist. Not a mass market, but pretty readily available as I understand it. So, I have a much higher percentage of mass market and print-on-demand decks than many collectors like. So this was not super expensive, certainly a little more expensive than the than mass market, but not a lot. It's one of the, I hate to say, diversity decks, although it does have that, modernish style in the artwork. It is definitely a diversity. I love the colors. They're sort of pastel-y, but not quite. There's still a bit of a bite to them. And again, apologies for the lighting. It's going to change between how the sun moves and where the cat decides to stay. So I immediately get the understanding of exactly what this is going to be like to rank, because it's not one of my most used decks, but it certainly is a lovely deck. And so now we do. And again, when I asked Jason to pick 10 decks, I don't know what else awaits me. Let's see, we're going to move this around so that there we go. So it's a big one. So we're going to start with 4. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think he went for the pretty boxes, or the interesting boxes. I haven't really started studying with this, so this is going to be interesting. Okay, let's see. I'm going to have to keep that this way. I'm out of my space. Okay, so haven't started using it really as so much intense study really to really fully appreciate any of Annabelle Wen's work, her decks, her books, etc. Apologies for the camera shaking. As I said, this is not my usual setup. It's a gorgeous deck. I'm sure that once I really get to use it, it's going to be a powerful one, but it's not one I'm really using. So in order to keep spots open for decks that I love using, we're going to put that there. And it's going to take me a second to pull the others because the box is the other way around. Your box. Let's see. Okay. So these white boxes I got from the Game Crafter, but I use them for anything that came in a tuck box, which many of the mass markets do. So there's a whole bunch of these, and that's what we've got. The Pride Tarot. So this is the U.S. Games Pride Tarot. There's the book. Again, apologies for the lighting. Yeah. Wonderful deck. It's a collaborative deck. I used to think I would never get a collaborative deck. I'd never use them because of differences in art style. And I have a few. I've got, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of the other ones is in the box. So, and I don't have a problem with the variation art style. You know, there are different subjects, so it's just different takes on it. Many of the artists who did artwork for this have already been published by U.S. Games. There's a few, I think, who hadn't. So it's a nice selection of artists, some of whom I know well. Tends to be more of a seasonal thing. Not that it has to be. It just works out that way. And one of the other problems, of course, is, like I said, I don't have a huge number to put in the lower spots because I have a small list of decks that I love. Okay, I don't use it a lot, so we'll put it 7. I almost wrote Pride Month because that's what Pride usually is followed by this book. He's really making it difficult. Ethereal Visions Tarot. This is the Luna edition, which is the second edition by Matt. I also have his first Oracle deck, and his newer decks are definitely on my wish list. Interesting, I traded away my original 1980s Aquarian deck because it just didn't speak to me. Still doesn't speak to me, but there's a lot of other decks that are pretty similar sort of ornateness to a degree in the style. Is it the Aquarian? Yeah. So, but I like this, and it's got just enough gilding to be fancy, but not so much as to be overdone. It's a little more challenging for people who are looking for the typical RWS scenery to help with the definition of the cards, but love his artwork. And you know, I have another older video from a couple years back where I talk about how I don't need the glitz, the super fancy packaging, you know, ribbons and padding and gilding. You know, it's not that I hate it. I don't need it. And on a budget, so I wouldn't mind skipping that to pay less. But it certainly has been used. Ooh, well. In this deck, oops, let's put the book in. So, I love the deck. I definitely don't use it. Okay, I don't use it as much as this might hurt. Ethereal This is number 5. Okay, now this, the Pride Tarot was mass market. This is print on demand, the St. Jinx Triple X Tarot. It's going to be fun because I'm going to have to be careful which cards I show, because this is the X-rated, uncensored version. The artist identifies themselves as St. Jinx, and they have a definite style, and it tends to be muscly men. He started to get a little bit of variation in body styles, colors, ages, etc., but it's still pretty definitely a certain style. So let's see. Eight of Cups. Oh, okay, so that one, not that one. 3 of Cups. Ace of Cups. Now, the deck comes originally with no female cards, but you can buy a female small pack of cards, put the female positions in, and he has another plug-in, which are the moon, the sun. You certainly get a sense of his. Oops, did that? Oh, we didn't see that. My apologies. So, I like his style. Very definitely a sort of a specific purpose sort of thing. Not something I use with clients a lot, so I'm going to put it down here. Not that it's a bad deck at all, just, the challenge. So let's see what else we've got. Okay, this is the Somnia, and this is the second edition. This is called the Illustrated Edition. The original, this is by Nicholas Bruno. The first deck, which was photography-based, he did during the early stages of the coronavirus pandemic. And I got it because I'm a photographer, and it's amazing work, but unfortunately photography is not the best for reproducing shades and tones, etc. And as much as I love photography, and I am a photographer, it didn't really work for me. So when I found that he'd done the second edition, I waited to see and offered to trade mine if there was somebody who decided they didn't like the illustrated version. Unfortunately, someone in my circles was like that, so I was able to trade my photography first edition for the second one. And lots of details. This will be fun. So again, I like the concept. I like for example, I love this image. I love the symbolism of it. In the photography, in the first version, it was just harder to see a lot of the details. And these were all in the photography version were either him or an associate. He built props, etc., to take the pictures. And these are generally based on things that he experiences. He experiences night terrors, which is not just a bad nightmare. It's different, and it freezes you up, etc. So there's a lot of personal work he's done through this. And like I say, with this in the original photograph, he actually builds a ladder and mounts it, etc. It's really, I don't think there is specifically shadow work decks. Inherently that, it's what works for you. And I think this, for me, is a shadow work deck. But again, that's my reaction to the creation story. Again, beautiful deck. A lot of meaning. And as I said at the beginning, I only have 25 complete standard tarot decks to pull from, so there really aren't going to be any particularly bad ones, because the ones I don't connect with have already been rehomed or are on my short list of a few to rehome. So this is going to be interesting, because it's like I use it less in the ethereal, but there's 3 other decks in there, and I don't know what they're going to be. We'll put it up here for now. And then when this is all done, and I know what the 10 decks are, I have the option of doing a second list. Which, Jason is definitely making it challenging for me. Sonia was self-published by the author. This was self-published. The Black Queer Tarot. This was a gift to me by someone who had a second copy, and thought I would appreciate it. So it's the Black Queer Tarot, art and design by Kendrick Day. The book is edited and written by Justin Hay. Again, apologies for the lighting. Another powerful deck, a gorgeous deck, but not one I use a lot of. There's a lot of information about the artist, or about the subject, written by the artist. It's very definitely a specific vibe. The shape is square like an oracle, which is not a big deal. It does allow for sort of a different way of looking at the artwork, because the artwork part is almost square. Not quite, but certainly closer than standard tarot size. So, I mean, cards like this, how do you not put it way up, and yet I don't know what else is waiting for me. Oh, okay. I don't use it as much, and that's not really necessarily the only way to rank it, but it certainly has an influence. So, black. Okay, that leaves 3 more. Oh, okay. So, this. Yeah. We're losing the light. Well, we're not losing it, it's just moving. The Deviant Moon Tarot, again, came in a tech box, so I put it into a hard box. Aren't going to be too many people who don't already at least know the Deviant Moon or know of it. It wasn't, I had a very limited range of decks back when I started tarot in the 1980s. And then more recently, as in like the last 10, 20 years, I've started adding decks. This wasn't exactly the first new deck I bought, but it was close, and it's certainly a big one. I started with the Morgan Greer. I have 2 copies of it. I have one which is my personal deck, and that's only used for me. I have another one which for the longest time I used for client readings. And these days, this is, if I'm getting a sort of a general reading, I'll often use the Deviant Moon over the Morgan Greer. Its style is quite interesting. I love Patrick's work. There's an incredible sense of life and humor in his cards. Like some people, I have had someone tell me that they find it scary, but to me, there's too much life and humor in it for that. I love his artwork style. I have this. I have the deck of his with all the variations in color and stuff like that, and I'm totally blanking on it. And a couple of his oracles. So I do like his work. And like I said, so basically what it comes down to is, if the Morgan Greer is in there, then this should be number 2. But if the Morgan Greer is not, then this is number 1. So we're going to play that game. And like I said, I need to understand what people are going through when you when you watch them, and they're like, oh, what a decision. Okay, 2 left. Okay. I'm going to move this. Apologies for the shakiness, but that's where the sun is. There we go. Oh, sorry. So, Light Seers. Hay House, Chris Ann. I like Chris Ann's work. I have this. I have the Mystical Moments. Is it the Mystical Creatures? Fantastical Creatures? And her Sacred Creators Oracles. I have 3 of her decks. I did have the other tarot deck. Totally blanking on it. where the kings are horizontal cards, unlike the rest. That has been rehomed. Another one, modern or modern-ish style, modern people, some diversity, bright colors, not as up close, so you don't have a lot of details, but you certainly get details. I mean, there's certainly some stuff there. Okay. This, I use this not as much as the Deviant Moon. I use it more than the Somnia, about the same as the Ethereal. So we're going to play the old guessing game. The Light Seers. And let's find out whether number 2 is something that should be. Oh no. Okay. I have a couple of decks in wooden boxes, and okay. I was talking about Patrick Blanch's work, the Trionfa della Luna. So this is the paradoxical, which is the sort of negative color shift sort of stuff. And this is the first version, which is pip based. And this is the complete thing. So there's the 78 card deck. Then there's the beasts. There's some those are some replacement cards. Alternate versions. That's a traditional. House of God is a traditional card for that spot. And then the beast pack. And then another mini oracle. So it's like 100 cards or something like that in total. If this was what they call what he called the illustrated version, which again is RWS scenery on the miners instead of pips, that would really have deserved possibly number 2 or 3, because it's up there. But this isn't that, so it really doesn't play on Trionfa della Luna blue. Doesn't really belong that high up, but that's the spot left for it. So there's some disappointment, but not terrible. He didn't choose either of the Morgan gear. I have mine and my personal on my backup, as I said. So I'm not too worried about Deviant Moon being up at 1. So now I'm going to, now that I know what the 10 are, let's see if I knew I had these. 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to pause the camera while I contemplate how I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm back. So this was the random, and this is once I can't look at them all. So Deviant Moon definitely stays number 1. This Might Hurt jumps up a bit. Ethereal Vision jumps up. Somnia's roughly where it was. And then Light Seer bumps up a bit. And the Pride Tarot, Black Queer move up. St. Jinx, the St. Jinx moves up. Spirit Keepers pretty much where it was at 9-9. Trionfa della Luna blue comes down. And again, that's not because it's the worst of them or the least favorite so much as both the Trionfa della and the Spirit Keepers are pretty intense, needs a lot of real study to fully appreciate what the decks have to offer. So again, that's the 10 as I drew them out. This is how I would put them if I knew ahead of time the 10 decks. So that's my response to the tag. If you're interested, feel free to do your version of it. It is interesting to see how people prioritize, how they decide where to stick it, and then, how we look at it later. Thanks very much.